Welcome to Binge Theory, the coolest corner on the internet. I'm your humble host, Julian, and with me today we have a quadri. What's one more than a quadri, Logan?
Oh,
yes.
I was an English major, not a math major.
Quadri plus one.
What's that? Well, let me rattle off
Quadri,
some
a quindry?
Yes, we have a quandary, and
we have a quandary.
we have Logan.
Hello.
We have Kenny.
Hi.
Clara.
Hey.
And we have a man of mystery, a man who has no name.
Austin Powers.
No, not that.
Yeah, baby. we have a mystery guest, and if you can leave it in the comments who this mystery guest is, you get clout. No prizes, but actual praise.
Because Julian can't get the Binge store open.
Yeah, exactly. No, we'll be giving out gifts soon. But we want to make sure they're top quality, so we're testing all of them in a facility that'll be disclosed at a later date. How is everybody today?
Actually, I need to.
All right, I get to go to work tomorrow.
Darn it, the mystery's been now we.
Sorry, I need to remove my mask to get a drink of water. I didn't think this through.
You need a Camelback so you can run the straw through the outfit.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yep. And see, because we're practicing safe distancing, Ramona's, what do you call it? His mask is on fleek, I guess the kids would say.
Oh my God.
Yes. Is that what the kids say these days, on fleek?
I'm sure probably not, but
fire. Yes, his mask is fire. His mask game is on point. There.
On point. Yeah. I can remember that one. It doesn't look like it's on fire.
Yes.
What was the rest of my outfit?
and again, Ramon, tell us what the character is that you're portraying today.
So I am the white ninja from Enter the Ninja.
Interesting.
Although I'm wearing a Calvin Klein hood right there, but I don't know if you can see it. It's right off the edge.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Storm Shadow aspect. Storm Shadow for those of you that were alive in the 80s, there was a cartoon called G.I. Joe. And there was never actually a person named G.I. Joe. They just called the military organization G.I. Joe because they were gender biased, and that's just the name, one of the worst names ever. There's SEAL Team 6, and there's G.I. Joe, and
the real American heroes.
Yes, and they looked oddly like the Village People when you really just look at their outfits. It's just a series of different, completely unorthodox. They had.
It's just juiced up Village People.
Juiced up there. See, at least that would have been a cool name for a team.
The juiced up Village People.
Hey, you know what? You get the action figures. I
had the action figures.
Hours of fun. There you go. Anyway, we've gone completely off the rails already, but let's reel it back in. Today, we're going to be talking food. We're going to be talking entertainment, new movies, music, tech, TV and streaming, everything that your heart could desire right here at Binge Theory for you, our valued viewers. Starting off, Clara had brought this up before, and we've not really touched on it, but I think it's appropriate given our name of Binge Theory. Clara, can you bring our first topic to the forefront today?
So what are some binge-worthy foods, right? For me, the ultimate binge theory food, French fries.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I don't have
what
to get
you're
her
doing.
like for Valentine's. Flowers, you throw that out. French fries.
He's not lying.
Shoestring French fries at that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about condiments? What are we talking here? Mayonnaise or mustard or
fry sauce?
Mustard on French fries? Who does it?
Okay.
Fry
hollandaise sauce. What do you...
Fry sauce,
Fry
which is mayonnaise, ketchup, and some salt and pepper.
Mm-hmm. Or barbecue sauce. That's really, I mean,
I mean,
those
barbecue sauce goes on just about anything, so that's fair.
right? That in itself is a binge-worthy food. Barbecue sauce.
Binge-worthy condiment.
Yes.
Ooh, there we go. What about
I can see that.
What is mine?
Actually, I know yours. Yours
What?
is chocolate.
Yeah,
Chocolate anything.
just about. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my binge
yours.
food.
Chocolate French fries. Oh.
If they
Well,
taste
put
like
the
chocolate.
Frosty, the Wendy's should do the chocolate Frosty or the French.
Oh yeah, that would work.
See, now your decadence is showing. Yes, that is so first world.
Yeah, you're getting a little bougie there.
Yes.
Wendy's is bougie.
Yeah. Getting fancy like.
I mean, two food groups put together like that's like fried gold. But yes, so
Like just
fries.
ham and pineapple on pizza.
That's not binge worthy. No.
Well, no, that's
Just two different food groups.
No.
Okay,
What
quick,
about you guys?
quick impromptu poll: pineapples on pizza, yay or nay?
Nay.
Yay.
Yay.
I have to buy it because my wife likes it, but that doesn't mean I have to eat it because that's just wrong.
I agree.
It is not wrong. It is right on so many levels.
Cheese with pineapple. That is such a weird combination.
Have you tried it?
Yes, I have. It's gross.
That's something wrong.
Who makes spaghetti with banana ketchup? I mean,
Banana ketchup.
Banana?
First of all, I don't know.
Oh
what
yeah, that's
banana
right.
ketchup
Never
is.
mind. I thought you guys were Jollibee fans, so never mind.
Banana ketchup. That sounds.
It is a thing, yes. Spaghetti with banana ketchup and hot dogs.
I mean, it sounds.
I mean, look, if your kid has to eat something, your kid has to eat something.
Look, if my kid would eat that, I would feed him that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you that sounds like dorm food, Ramon, but not in a bad way. But it definitely sounds like something. Like,
It does.
Dorm food is Filipino staples to me. So
I was gonna say it sounds like a staple. If you're you're in a pinch, you're like, I got to eat something.
Yeah.
But I'm just not familiar with banana. What was it? Banana
ketchup.
So explain what banana ketchup is.
I can't. I don't know what it is. All I know is we have it in the Philippines. It's called banana ketchup. It's ketchup and it's sweet.
Is it literally bananas, like mashed?
Is it also tomatoes too?
Maybe.
Like, is it red or is it banana colored?
I think it's maybe bananas, or it could be just a blob of stuff that they put in, like fabric coloring or something. I don't know what it is.
It's made of banana, sugar, vinegar, and spices. Its natural color is a brownish yellow, but it's often dyed red to resemble tomato ketchup.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
I know there's a dye in it.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, that makes me feel a little better. Like, I would try that now, but mixing tomatoes and bananas doesn't sound
Yeah. But you know what?
I'd try that.
Weirder combinations have worked. That might be like the good balance of.
That's like the mayonnaise banana.
Oh my god.
Mayonnaise banana.
Mayonnaise banana. This man ate growing up.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
Please, like no.
It's a southern thing. It is a southern thing.
I tried it. It tastes like you're eating a greasy banana. Like, that's essentially what it tastes like. It's just greasy banana stuck between bread.
Yeah.
That sounds like a band name, Greasy Banana.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting that you mentioned that, because my binge food is peanut butter on a banana.
Ooh, that is good. Have you
I
tried
grew
that?
up on peanut butter and banana sandwiches for lunch.
Yeah.
That was all I had for like all elementary school.
By choice or by
by mom, this is all you're making. Yes.
Binge foods.
I've recently started getting in this habit of, there's a food chain, depending on where you are, everybody has their own localized food chain, even though it's a franchise. I have Giant out where I live. And they've recently, I discovered they have like Tyson pre-cooked chicken wings. And they have two flavors. They have barbecue and they have spicy. but they come in like this tray, and you can get a whole tray of pre-cooked ones, and you just crack the thing open, and you're just sitting there. You know, I'm literally one hand doing video editing or whatever, and just eating wings and stuff, and they're not like drenched in sauce or anything. It's just like enough. They were baked into enough where they're just seasoned just the right amount.
Are they soggy or are they crispy?
No. See, they're in the frozen food section, so they're cold. It's like eating.
But I mean, when you warm them up,
so you just boil them and eat them. You just take them out.
Don't warm them up.
Nice.
You don't. Yeah, you eat it like it's dorm food. You just it's cold. Yes.
No.
Yes, cold.
The last one's the warmest one. It's great.
Yes, exactly. It gets to room temperature. And anybody knows if you're expecting something cold and it gets to room temperature, then it feels hot.
Wings are not wings unless they're crispy. They have to be crispy.
Crispy?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. So I think you're crispy. No. Would you bake your wings?
Most of the wings, the only way to get them crispy is to leave the skin on, though, right?
No, not necessarily. Hang on. Maybe we need to clarify. Are you talking like wings, like that, like the full wing, or are you talking like little, drumette wings?
Drumette,
like your appetizer wings.
Yeah, drumette.
They gotta be crispy. They gotta be crispy.
No, I don't know
if
we're gonna have to agree.
When we can, we'll all have to get together, and I will make you wings.
He just in the air fryer.
I was going to say, the wings sound much better than your what is it, banana mayonnaise?
Buffalo Wing Factory.
They make them crispy.
Down off of 50 in Fairfax.
They are.
Yeah, okay.
And there's also one up in Ashburn.
And more importantly, they have apple cider on tap.
Oh,
hard apple cider.
Also binge worthy.
Very good. Very good. Well, we've all.
What is Logan's? Did Logan give his?
When I'm home, it's usually something sweet, probably more of an ice cream. There's a independently run like chocolate store, candy store that it's up by my mother, and they make the most amazing almond butter crunch. And that's just incredible. But if
this is the bougie binge. Like the rest of us have all these like fried.
We'll have to. You'll have to share this this independent candy.
I can bring a box. In 2024, when the pandemic's over, I can bring a box.
Hey, let's first of all let's hope about that. Yeah.
Seriously.
In Fairfax?
What's that?
Is it?
No. This is up in up north, up much further north where my mother lives. But I usually have a box or two in the fridge, so that won't be a problem. And if I'm out though, it's pretty much always popcorn. Like I won't get any candy. I won't do anything there.
Same.
And I don't really eat popcorn much at home. But when I'm out, it's like never ending, biggest size. Let's just do it up. And that's just the movie experience.
I was worried about the Alamo, that big, huge bowl.
That never ends.
Bowl.
Yeah, it never ends.
If you don't get 2 or 3 of those, it's like it wasn't worth it.
No, for real.
We've done that.
We have.
What's funny is for a theater that instead of calling it the bottomless bowl, they should have called it like the everlasting popcorn bowl or something like that. Something a little more.
Hey, suggestion box.
Yeah,
send it to them. I bet you they might like that.
If I'd like to get paid for that. I'd be doing their job. But sure, that's.
Which has more value here? The fact that you could just say that you came up with the name, or getting paid. I mean, come on.
Getting paid.
If anything worth doing is worth getting paid for, right?
Exactly. Like the Joker said in one of his many horribly insightful lines in The Dark Knight, if you're good at something, never do it for free. So there you go. That's
all right there, Bugsy Siegel.
Yes. And funny thing is how Heath Ledger came up with the voice for the Joker. He saw Tom Waits doing an interview in Australia. And if you
any topic and bring it back to a comic book movie.
Well, that's because comics are the center of the universe. Or the multiverse, depending on your point of reference. And if you go on YouTube, the YouTubes, and you Google on the YouTubes, it's on the tweets and on the grams, and you look for Heath Ledger, Tom Waits, Joker voice. and there's an interview with Tom Waits, and he sounds like the Joker. And this is, like decades before the movie came out, so you can see where his inspiration came from. Very insightful trivia. Now you're popular at parties. Okay, so let us move on to the next.
I wasn't to begin with.
Yeah. Come on now. Come on. Anyway, let us move on. Clara, you have 2. We got 2 for the price of 2. What is happening next?
I mean, what can I say about Will Smith? I mean, other than the fact that he's just the greatest at all the things. Even Wild Wild West people, okay?
No.
Yes.
No.
Everybody has a flop.
No. Yes.
That would be the Bagger Vance one, not Wild Wild West.
Really?
It actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Oh my
I
God.
like that more than Wild Wild West.
I will point
such
out, like, I'm
controversy.
actually on Will Smith.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying
'Cause
that
you know better.
I'm not saying Wild West is horrible, but what I am saying is
I'll say that.
Will Smith has stated in the interviews that he regrets taking the Wild Wild West job instead of Neo.
Well,
in the
yeah,
Matrix.
when you're
Sure.
comparing those two,
I'm just saying,
but I don't know
just
that that's
saying.
the one that he regrets like of his whole career.
Just saying. Anyway,
Apparently, because music and movies and dancing and all that wasn't enough, now he's also going to be a writer, and he's coming out with a memoir that's aptly named Will. So I'm really looking forward to that. But there was an article in GQ that it's a very lengthy article, but it was
It's worth a read, though.
I would agree. I think they said it's going to be in the November issue of GQ, but of course it's online now. But yeah, it was a very lengthy article talking just about some upcoming movies he has and a little bit about the memoir, and also was talking about why now was really the time for this memoir and how he's in his insert cuss word here, F it. I don't know what I could say on here, so I'll just say F it 50s, and how by entering this phase of his life, he really has found more freedoms. And then also with the passing of his dad back in 2016, he also feels some freedom to discuss some things now from his past that he might not otherwise have. But anyways, it was a great article. If you haven't read it, go find it. But I'm really personally looking forward to his book, and also especially hoping he does an audible version of it and voices it himself, because I think that would be especially good to hear personal inflections. But then also, I'm sure he'll tell jokes in his own way. So, anyways, I'm personally really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I would get the audible version in a second.
Right? I think it would. I always like it when people read memoirs, because you can really sense in their voice things that are especially sentimental, parts that are especially hurtful or touching, etc.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a memoir, but I'm going to have Gary Oldman read mine. So,
whatever happened to Rambo? I thought you said Sylvester Stallone. You said you're going to have your memoir read by Sylvester, or was that something else?
Oh, it was of Sylvester Stallone. You know who it was? It was, and not Gary Oldman. It was my boy, Christopher Walken.
Oh.
Can't you see it? Reading memoirs. Oh, there you go. That's no. I grew up. I grew up in the west side of Philly, West Philadelphia.
No, not that one either. We'll let Will Smith read his own book.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear the entire intro. West Philadelphia, born and raised, on the schoolhouse.
Speaking of which,
it's been a long time since I heard that song. In the schoolyard is where I spent most of my days.
What subscription had all of the
HBO.
episodes? Oh, is that one?
Yeah, HBO Max.
Yeah, when we subscribed to that, we watched that kind of over and over for a while.
Now, isn't that where he did that?
The reunion.
Yep.
Yeah, the reunion.
That's on there too. I didn't get to watch that yet, but she watched.
Ooh.
I watched part of it. I didn't get to finish it.
I saw the highlights with Aunt Viv. That was rough.
Yeah.
But
speaking of which, Clara,
about that, because that was part of his effort 50s, was figuring out and taking ownership of some of the things from his past. But yeah. What was that?
The challenge I had for the other time about collateral damage. Collateral beauty. Have you seen it already? Not yet.
I have not seen that one. I've heard really good things. I haven't seen that one, but I think that's one of the things I really appreciate about Will Smith is he has a wide range because from what I've read, it seems like it'll probably be a similar performance to 7 Pounds. 7 Pounds was really good and really hard to watch all at the same time.
Yes, but I think collateral damage is for me. I mean, it's a little bit better than 7 Pounds. I've seen 7 Pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. So collateral damage is he does he really does a very good job in this movie. So I'm not gonna give you any spoiler alerts, but I'd say just watch it. If you like 7 Pounds, you'll love this one.
Yeah, I did.
Did we talk last time like favorite Will Smith movies?
We have not.
What's your favorite?
Ooh, favorite like of his ever?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't watched them all, so first I got to do that, I would guess. But,
of the ones you watched, which one's your favorite?
Oh man, that's tough.
Would it be Wild Wild West?
I wouldn't. My favorite would not be Wild Wild West, but I do really like. Okay, hang on. Someone else go first. Well, I think.
Oh, you don't mind collateral beauty and collateral beauty. That's my favorite.
All right, what's your
going second is what do you call this?
We're ranking.
What do you call this? Oh, I forgot. The one where he played the guy who was homeless and became a man of
Happiness.
Huh?
Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes. So those are my top two: Pursuit of Happiness and Collateral Beauty.
And Logan, what's yours?
Top two, I think I'm gonna have to go with I, Robot and I Am Legend. However, I hold judgment until King Richard comes out because some of the things I've read about that make me feel like that performance and everything could be quite spectacular.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I haven't seen anything for King Richard yet.
That's the one where he plays the father of Venus and Serena Williams.
You clearly did not read the article.
Yeah. And the way he was talking in that article, which I did read, about how the similarities between his father and their father, and I think there was even a quote from one of the sisters about how like seeing him almost made them not even realize they were not looking at their father was, really interesting. So if he can get into it that way and the rest of the story kind of matches, that could be another impressive, Ali-like performance.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Ali, that's what I was going to go for.
What a segue.
Exactly. I was going to say my top two. A little on both worlds. Ali was definitely one of I thought his most where he threw himself into the physicality of the role, and he had a lot of Ali's mannerisms and his southern drawl kind of down. And also, secondly, I would say, and I'm gonna go with you on the I Train. I liked him in I Am Legend, only because it required him to do basically carry that entire film.
Oh yeah,
for the first half. Just him and a dog.
Yep. And it was so different from the book. It was nice in that it was almost two entirely different things. Because I had read the book first and then saw the movie, and at first I was like, "Oh, this is horrible. This is nothing like the book." And then I watched it again, and I was like, "All right, but this stands on its own though too." Because his performance and ability to carry that movie with just him and a dog and a whole bunch of CGI was spectacular.
So I think I'm actually going to go with I Am Legend also, but with the caveat. Did y'all know there were two endings to two different endings?
Yes, I was just going to talk.
The alternate one was better.
The alternate, and so here's the thing: the whole time I'm watching this movie, that alternate ending is the one that I was expecting. I was like, "Oh, he's going to realize." So I feel like he actually acted toward that ending, but then they flipped it for theatrical. So for those, well, I don't know if I should give a spoiler.
Yeah,
it's been long enough.
For spoiler alert for those who don't want to know. So the two different endings are one where he basically like kills himself, kills all, I don't even know what those beings were called, the bug people, whatever they were.
Vampires, right?
Yeah. But that to me didn't. How does that live up to the name I Am Legend, right? And I remember sitting in the theater going, "This can't be the right ending." And I literally went home and Googled because I was like, it did not feel right. And then that's when I found, I think it was on YouTube, the actual original ending, which is where Will Smith actually kind of realizes, okay, like me, my type of human, my being, I am legend. and it was much more dramatic and I think fitting ending for that movie. So that I think would be my favorite, but with the alternate / correct ending.
Well,
agreed.
I don't know if you guys remember that I actually said mentioned in one of our what do you call this shows that this was actually a remake of Omega Man with Charlton Heston. But it's like a totally different. It's not even a remake. It almost shifts to a totally different story. But it's also the story of Dr. Neville.
Oh.
But he was played by Charlton Heston. And yes, they do have those creatures, although they're not as scary as the well, scratch that. They're scarier than the CGI. A little black hood and some white contact lenses, and they are 100 times scarier than the CGI ones.
Yeah, I mean, this book was originally written back in 1954. I Am Legend, and it was actually adapted 3 times. Omega Man being the second in 1971. So this book has once in 64 where it with Vincent Price, second in 71 with Charlton Heston, and then the third in 2007 with Will Smith. So the book has been remade a couple times.
Yeah, the 1960 movie was called The Last Man on Earth.
Yes. Yep, The
I
Last
mean,
Man on Earth with
Vincent
Price.
It's a little unsettling how in this Will Smith one the whole contamination was oddly science accurate, not at science accurate, but science plausible.
Yes.
Trying to compromise. What was it? Measles or something?
The rabies virus. The rabies virus. They altered the rabies virus in order to cure cancer.
Was it rabies?
It was a rabies virus. Yeah.
All right.
I believe so. I believe that's.
See, now you're doubting yourself.
Now I'm doubting myself. Yeah.
I swear I thought it was like measles or mumps or something. And
but
so it was measles. It was measles.
See, it was measles.
They re-engineered the measles virus to cure cancer.
Yes.
However,
is that in the movie or is that in the book?
That's in the movie, the 2007 movie, I Am Legend.
Okay. Then my mistake. Then I thought it was
in the book, it was just a generic kind of pandemic that killed most of the population and turned the rest into vampires that actually conformed kind of a lot more to your stereotypical type vampires in the tale of that time. So it was very much a vampire movie, especially with some of the I want to say the intelligence of the characters in the book too, and the ability to kind of communicate eventually to some extent with those creatures, as opposed to the more animalistic and more rabid type nature of the ones in the Will Smith film.
The other thing that article talked about was that I Am Legend took 10 years to make, which I didn't know.
There were some rights issues, I think.
Is that what that was? Because I was
pretty
like,
sure.
10 years. That's crazy to me.
I still, to this day, I think they were trying to, and I'll say the same thing for World War Z, which also took a long time to make and is taking even longer to make the sequel, is that don't go CG if you can't pull off CG, especially if it's a main component of the story. They should have just gone live action, or practical effects with the vampires, because that main vampire did not play for me. He just looked like a video game. And if you want a good example, I know it's not vampires, it's zombies, but 28 Days Later to me is still one of my favorite zombie films.
Oh, yes.
And all practical.
100%.
The eye knows. And either whether it's like a wave of people in World War Z or just teeming vampires, and it always takes me out of it for some reason.
28 days later, 28 weeks later, and man, if they actually make it 28 months later, I cannot wait.
Is that coming? Is that coming?
It's the inevitable progression. I don't know that it's coming, but
it's like Avatar. They keep saying it's going to come, and who knows if it will.
First of all, the fact that they were able to pull off the sequel with a different director, different leading cast. For those who don't remember, Cillian Murphy made his basic break in 28 Days Later.
Yep.
And then in the sequel, it was what's his name? Hawkeye.
Jeremy Renner.
He was the kind of the leading man, and but it was just and also Idris Elba was in it.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. It was Heimdall from Thor and Hawkeye from the Avengers. You see, Clara, I brought it back
all
to
the way back again to comic book.
I
picked it up.
Well, and Cillian Murphy was Scarecrow
How many are your
Will
favorites?
in
Smith.
Batman.
You're still thinking about
I
that?
haven't. Well, I never got a chance to go. So,
Oh,
but it's all right. We can go on.
what were your favorites?
Like I said, I have too many.
You can't pick one.
No. No, because I like him in all the Bad Boys movies, right? I actually liked him in Hancock.
I did not like that one.
I appreciated what it tried to do, but I didn't like the movie.
I actually did, just because I thought it was an interesting approach and
100%.
a change.
I agree with that completely.
Like somebody that has superpowers but doesn't want to be a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I like the theory, but I
and
don't like it.
has
The
the
execution lacked.
Yeah.
huh? Oh yeah, and then Hitch.
Oh,
Because
Hitch
I felt like
was good.
I felt like him
was
and Kevin.
cute.
I
That
felt
was
like
good.
I felt like him and Kevin James
Yes.
actually had really good
They did.
on-screen chemistry.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how many takes they had to do for like every scene. You
Yeah,
know,
like wanting to find the blooper reel.
not even, like I can't imagine how much is on the cutting room floor
Yeah.
because of how much they laughed.
Yeah, that's probably
Because
true.
they're both,
Hilarious.
comedians
Yeah.
and make each other laugh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Men in Black. We didn't even talk about Men in Black. I mean, say what you will about it.
Independence Day. I mean, look, he had
And
a
with
string
the
of blockbusters for a reason. Like they were all spectacular.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know, so around the time he did Bad Boys 2. The next year he did iRobot. The following year he did
Mhm.
Hitch.
If you would have read the
Then-
article, they said that for like 6 years in a row, he
Yeah.
held the
6 or 8 or something. It was
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
I
In
mean,
the
he
summer.
just yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Big Willie.
Was his breakout movie Independence Day?
Well, he did a film called 6 Degrees of Separation. where
Yeah,
that
was
was
a big one.
his cinematic debut, so to speak. And then
And Bad Boys was before Independence Day.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're right.
Bad
Yep.
Boys might have been the one that like
was
really,
it?
Yeah, Bad Boys was 95.
Yep.
Wow.
And Independence Day was 97.
Exactly.
That is
Or-
interesting.
Wild West.
Wild Wild West was a fluke in the middle there in what, 99?
not a fluke. I actually liked it. I thought it was funny.
He
So
went
Wild
to
Wild
Wild
West-
Wild West.
the
He
cat-
went
the
with Dr.
cat
Vance, even though I
spiders-
didn't mind it. And then he picked back up with Ali and Men in Black 2. So it didn't kill his career, but it certainly wasn't a high
I like
point.
Enemy of the State.
I forgot about Enemy of the State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
That might be my
There were
number
so
2.
many people in that movie that you don't realize. I mean, obviously Gene Hackman, but you had
It's like watching Swordfish again. It's like everybody
Yeah.
was in that one. How did I
Yeah.
miss that?
Jack Black
Yeah.
is in
Oh yeah.
yeah, and like completely out of character,
All of it was
He
great.
was that funny.
huh?
He
No.
wasn't funny in that
What?
movie.
No, he wasn't funny.
Not at all.
I remember him in that movie.
He was like an NSA technician.
Mm.
Yeah. I forgot about that one. That might be number 2. That one was really good.
It was.
Yeah.
You know
See?
what? I saw this ad online and it took me back. We got to do a deep dive on this. There was a Tim Burton film, Attack from Mars,
Oh.
and the movie was not spectacular, but the
that-
cast was fantastic.
Yes.
Yes, everybody was
Can't
in.
argue with that.
Yeah, the cast was insane.
The cast
So-
was incredible, but the movie was
Is that
equally incredible on the opposite end of the
is
spectrum.
that Mars Attacks?
Mars Attacks. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's the one with Natalie Portman.
Jack Nicholson was the president.
Jack Nicholson was the president and the casino owner. He played 2 characters.
That's right.
Yes.
Was that one with Natalie Portman?
Natalie Portman was in it. Paul, was it Paul Dano? No. It was the kid with the ears. I want to say Isaac something.
Years.
Yeah.
I know what he's talking about.
Yeah. I
The
think
one that drove the truck around at the end playing the loud music.
yes. I want to say Isaac something, but I can't.
I that's one of my like guilty pleasures is Mars Attacks.
Yes.
Haven't
Oh,
heard of
Pierce
this.
Brosnan. Sarah
Pierce
Jessica
Brosnan, Sarah Jessica, yep.
Annette Bening.
Yep.
Dang,
and
Is this not a Clara movie? How come we never watched this?
This is really like
yeah.
cheesy, sticky humor.
Like Spaceballs?
No.
Oh.
it's not comedy. It's quirky because it's Tim Burton. You know.
Yeah.
So
I think actually, you know what? I think you might like it.
The way you said "might" is not.
Well, because it's hard to judge her. It's hard to judge her comedy. Like
it's true
because sometimes she actually likes the stupid humor if it's done right.
True, but it has to be.
You know what? And now I'm hesitating and saying you might like it as well. You might like it.
But you said "might" in a different tone.
Yeah, you might like it. Yeah.
I think
But you know, guys,
watch it because it's a
I got
funny
some
movie.
other Will Smith movies to catch up on first. Apparently, okay.
Yeah.
No, we got to do that.
Will Smith wasn't in Mars Attacks, was he?
he might. No, it was James
That's
Brown.
Everybody else was.
I'd
James
rather
Brown
watch
was.
my Will Smith movies I haven't seen, like Collateral Beauty.
Was Tony Todd in Mars Attack?
Oh, God.
No. That for those who don't know, that's a callback from what was it? Candyman? What was he in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The original Candyman.
And,
You want to go back? He was in Hercules: The Legendary Journeys.
Oh, was that with
yeah.
Ferrigno?
Like that.
No, that was with Kevin Sorbo.
Kevin Sorbo, yeah.
Oh, the series, yes.
That's a whole
Yeah.
different,
Let's talk about Kevin Sorbo.
whole
Yes.
different conversation.
Yes.
But
Sorry.
that was with
Yes.
Kevin Sorbo is where I know him
That
from.
I love.
I
love-
have it all on DVD.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Is that on streaming anywhere? I bet it is somewhere, right?
It,
I haven't found it. I haven't seen that, and I haven't seen Xena. I haven't
Tubi.
seen.
So Tubi, just download the Tubi app. It's completely free. It doesn't even ask for your email.
oh, yeah. Tubi, right?
Yes.
TUBI Tubi. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
it's there. It's the whole Xena and Hercules. They're
It
all
does. Okay.
they're all there.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. Well, good stuff. We like our Will Smith, and very interested in seeing his book on his F at 50 mindset.
Will Smith, if you're watching, my wife loves you.
Yeah.
It's true.
You're on her the top of her list.
It's true.
Yes. Yeah.
I-
we're easy. We're not trying to have more entanglements here. Let's just keep it.
I'm okay with that.
Oh.
I am too, because then I could be like,
Okay. This is a whole nother show.
you know, I'd be like, what? Did your
Binge theory after
Will
dark.
Smith,
Well, what is this?
Will
Binge
Smith
Hub?
hook up with your wife? I don't think so. Right?
Yes,
This is a
yes.
different kind of 6 degrees.
Yes, this is wonderful. Yes, collateral beauty all over the place. Okay, now love it, fantastic stuff. I want to do two quick movie reviews. I saw one last week, but due to technical difficulties, we weren't able to have a show. So I'm going to do two for the price of two. And guess what? The first one is Eyes of Tammy Faye. Now, I caught this, and I didn't necessarily want to see it, but it was like a slow week, and the theater was playing it, close to where I live, so I went and checked it out, and it does transport you back to that time. For those who aren't familiar, Tammy Faye and Jim Baker were televangelists that were literally just the biggest, the draw of televangelists back in that day. They had TV shows. They had like a not a Graceland, but some sort of like a theme park for their followers. And as most excessive things happened, it came crashing down around them due to different things. But I want to talk about the movie. It was starring Jessica Chastain as Tammy Faye Baker and Andrew Garfield as Jim Baker.
Okay.
You will see Oscar nominations for the makeup. I almost guarantee that. And if you've seen the trailer, you can see they're unrecognizable. Well, Andrew's kind of recognizable, but Jessica Chastain, had this just excellent prosthetics put on her face to make her look like Tammy Faye Baker, because she has a much squarer face, and she had the voice and all the mannerisms down. So Jessica Chastain, I think, for those who don't know her, she was in Zero Dark 30. She was also in the movie It series as the grown-up version.
The Martian. Why didn't you start with The Martian?
The Martian. What?
The Martian.
No. The Martian's Matt Damon. No.
Yeah, but she was the captain.
You talking about the one that killed Bin Laden, or the one that was
yes, Zero Dark 30. She was the
not
CIA.
killed, but the one who found it.
the CIA ops. That's her. Red. Yeah, she's red.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
she's
can
one of
see
two
that.
famous-
Where's
she's
that?
one of-
Also in The Martian,
Yeah,
Interstellar.
everybody knows her. She's one of two redheads in Hollywood. There's only two of them. So yeah, she's the other one.
Well, I used to confuse her with what do you call this?
Bryce Howard.
Yes.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, The Help,
Village.
I think they were both in The Help.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And like I said,
I
like I keep saying, there's only two of them. So you got a 50-50 chance.
That's not true. Deborah Ann Wall is redhead too.
I don't know who that is. Who is that?
She's
Is she really?
in all the Netflix Marvel shows. The
Then why don't you
reporter.
know them, Julian?
She's the reporter.
She was the reporter from Daredevil.
Yep,
Oh no, she's not.
and she was in
No.
True
No.
Blood.
Oh, was she
No.
really? I missed
Yep.
that.
Yeah, I'd say it's slightly lesser caliber. No offense, but
Hmm.
no.
You can't say there's only two redheads in Hollywood.
Bridget.
There are only two. There are only two
She's
redheads in
redhead.
Hollywood. She's not in Hollywood. She's just in movies.
Bridget somebody.
Legend of the Seeker.
Bridget.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to quick do my review on Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Reading.
The movie kind of glossed over a lot of the more scandalous aspects of it. There was substance abuse. Tammy Faye actually did spend time in the Betty Ford Clinic, which is unfortunate. They kind of just glanced at that, just it happened, and then they're right past it within literally 2 minutes. And there was, let's just say, some infidelity. And of the time, it was a certain kind of infidelity that was very, very scandalous for Jim Baker. And that kind of just, they just touched on it and went away. It was more about just the rise and fall and, kind of rise again of Tammy Faye in this circumstance. But again, she did fantastic acting. Andrew Garfield did fantastic acting. The makeup, the sound design was fantastic. The theme, not the theme, but the background music, it was fantastic. So I definitely recommend seeing it. Maybe not go to a theater, but check it out on video. So that is Tammy Faye Baker, my quick review. Now, again, 2 for the price of 2. I'm also going to be talking about what our thumbnail was showing. Venom, Let There Be Carnage, starring Tom Hardy and a big bunch of CG goo that was plastered all over the screen. So,
and Woody Harrelson.
yes, he was in it as well. And also a very underutilized Naomi Harris. She was in it, and Michelle Williams was in it. And let me just say this: who has seen Venom 1, the first Venom?
Did you make me watch that?
No.
Then no, I haven't seen it.
No.
No.
Okay.
No, not yet.
No. All right, let me just say this. The first one I was not a fan of either. Obviously, this is not a Marvel property. It's a Marvel property, but it wasn't done by Marvel Studios. It was done by Sony. And because of that, they did not have the production team. They did not have the writers. They had a whole different DNA to this, and you could just see it. And the story was just hodgepodge, put together action sequences. And they made it PG-13 so they could get the revenue. But, this is literally a hulking beast with fangs. It's like when they make an alien or a predator that's PG-13. What's the point? So
None at all.
exactly. And that's pretty much what my takeaway is for this one. The second Venom, Let There Be Carnage, is basically the introduction of another symbiote. And it's played by Woody Harrelson as Carnage. And don't get me wrong, people that are comic fans of the Spider-Man universe and Venom and Carnage might, see some points of reference and get excited. But the movie itself was garbage. It was it had the same really bad special effects. Not bad, but just unspectacular.
Okay, so which one would you watch right now if you had to? Would you rewatch that one or Wild Wild West?
Ugh.
See, here's the thing about Wild Wild West. Here's the thing about Wild Wild West. That is a combination of, first of all, it's completely out of the bounds of any sort of historic fact.
So what's your answer? Which one?
Yes, because comic book movies are so steeped in reality.
Fair
enough. I'll tell you
They're
this.
steeped in their own reality.
Yes, exactly. What one's entertaining reality, the other one's just
still not reality. Okay.
One's
entertaining. Let's at least have horses that are real.
Wait, there's no multiverse?
So I'll say this.
It's like saying there's no Santa Claus. I mean, oh wait.
No, there's a Santa Claus in the multiverse.
Ramon wins this round.
Yes. Here's the gist of Venom 2 or Venom Let There Be Carnage. It's pretty much what you would expect. Where they left off the first one, Eddie Brock and his girlfriend, his fiance played by Michelle Williams, are broken up, and he's still with Venom. And you see in the trailer, they give away in the trailer how Woody Harrelson becomes Carnage. He bites him, gets the blood in him, and apparently that's enough to make him now a symbiote. And they're fighting, and it's all CG mess, and the plot doesn't make any sense, and you just don't care. And
so Wild Wild West is better. That's what I'm hearing.
No.
I love it.
Yeah, that's like.
I mean, you didn't answer the question. Which one would you rewatch?
That's like stepping in poo from two different dogs. I don't like either of them.
Here's what I find interesting.
There's got to be one that's worse than the other.
No. I throw the shoes away when I step in both of them. That's how it works.
Here's what I find interesting. Right before even the first Venom came out,
mm-hmm.
Fox killed it with Deadpool. Right, rated R comic book movie, first rate. That was the first rated R movie to make $1 billion.
I think so.
And it went above Passion of the Christ in the highest grossing R-rated movie in history until what was that movie? It was a couple of years.
Wild Wild West.
No, Wild Wild West wasn't rated R.
Nor was it highest grossing. But
anyway, but
the Downton Abbey movie.
No, Downton Abbey is not rated R. See, but seeing that's like showing you if you put the right creative team behind it, you can make a rated R movie based on like these anti-heroes, which are what like Deadpool and Venom. Those characters are anti-heroes. They're not villains necessarily. They're just anti-hero.
Right.
And if they would have had the right creative team, I would still say keep Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is great in general.
Yeah.
At least I think so.
Yeah.
But you just put the right team behind it, and you could make it rated R, and they could have killed it.
Yes, I 100% agree.
And it wouldn't necessarily had to be with like Marvel Studios and Disney. It just if Sony would actually just put the right team in, they could do it. But I don't know. I feel like it's like the same thing behind DC, right? It's a money grab. It's not like we want to do this to actually get fans and maintain loyal, viewers. It's like we just want a quick cash grab as much as we can and call it a day.
But yeah, because they own the rights and they wanted to just, again, Sony has botched it again and again when it comes to stuff like this. So it's no surprise. The only reason Spider-Man was a success is because they let Marvel, co-pilot the whole thing. I will say this: there is a post-credit scene that you will want to see, and that's all I'm going to say to that. Don't come after me, internet. Don't come after me, internet.
I think it's already been. I think that scene is already being leaked.
Watch the post-credit scene. You didn't hear anything from me. Just watch.
Is it the scene with Tobey Maguire? No.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying watch it.
It's Will.
Yeah, it's isn't it Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland having coffee or something?
That'd be awesome.
That's what I hear. I don't know if it's true, but that's what I hear.
Yeah, you could hear anything on the internet. That is true.
It's the
That
greatest
is
thing
true.
about it.
Yes.
Mhm.
They it was all of them in a coffee shop with what's his name,
I
James
thought it was a
Franco.
non-spoiler review.
James Franco saying, "Isn't this better than shawarma?"
Exactly.
That's what they were all saying.
And then James Franco turns around while he's eating pie and just smiles.
Hey, that goes along with my favorite Abraham Lincoln quote. You can't believe everything you read on the internet.
That is true. right before he slayed a vampire.
Lincoln was a smart man.
Yes. So that is my 2 cents on Venom, Let There Be Carnage, Tom Hardy. And speaking of Tom Hardy, don't get me wrong. Tom Hardy, I love when he plays, and I've said this, everybody has their wheelhouse. Keanu Reeves has his wheelhouse. I'm going to tell you what Tom Hardy's wheelhouse is. Gruff, grunting dialect. That's his wheelhouse. If you have him, or with a mask on his face, anything that, kind of muffles his voice or it's little quirky, that's his thing. Don't ask him to talk just average British. It's unimpressive. And his Brooklyn accent or whatever the accent he's trying to pull off is horrible. In this film, there's a police detective played by Stephen Graham, great British actor. He pulls off an actual accent. I don't know what Tom Hardy's doing. You should just put him in a Bane mask and leave it at that, or have him doing one of those real thick Cockney accents. But again, I love Tom Hardy. Just he needs to do something like Johnny Depp, a character role, to really bring out that skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Keanu Reeves.
What's that?
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, he should play Neo. He should play Neo in Matrix 5. And he can do that whole the hand thing that Keanu does. Okay, moving on.
Sorry, guys. I'll be right back. I did not plug my computer. I got to get my plug.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah.
We will continue.
He's lying. Really, he's going to the bathroom.
We appreciate it. Turned off the camera.
I hope he muted his mic.
Oh, that's awful.
It's not a lapel. It's okay.
Yes. I remember when Zoom first started and people were taking their laptops with them to restrooms and all kinds of
and not wearing pants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Like Zoom shaming people.
Oh, well, some of them deserved that.
Mhm.
Some of them still do.
Yeah. Yeah. Zoom famous. And I also, what was that one? There was like a school where a kid was eating a sandwich and the teacher just berated him and stuff. Those were the good ones.
The ones that was like, "Hey, Chad, we can see you, hitting a ball in the back there."
Yes. Yes. There's something a little, problematic about having a live camera in your home.
But we all have them.
At least one connected to your coworkers. Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't there a senator or something that was like
You're thinking of he was a congressman that was doing an interview and his kid came into the room?
No. This was another gentleman who literally, and they're saying, he said it was an accident, but it happened twice. Let's just say exposed himself on camera, like by changing in the same room while there was a group call going on.
I was thinking of a different one. There was a guy that basically started
taking care of himself.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
not only was his camera still on, he was not muted, and he started watching, some
inspirational
material. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes. Well, maybe that
I can't use the term inspirational movie anymore.
Mad libs over here.
Maybe that is the one I'm thinking about.
And she knows it's not appropriate.
And I know that sometimes you come up with or don't come up with good cover words.
Yeah. They're like Mad Libs. I like it.
Jeez. I mean, doesn't that guy have any rooms in his house? I mean, what the heck? It's
Or the patience to wait until after a Zoom. I mean,
yes.
come on.
I mean, I've been on some exciting Zoom calls, but no, not
You guys know I can hear you, right?
That's why we're talking about you.
Yeah, no. We're
Computers
glad you're back.
plugged, and I can say it's a relief.
okay. Well played, sir. Well played.
Well played.
Okay, real quick, guys, I had the benefit of catching Jane's Addiction in concert over the weekend, and I've been a Jane's Addiction fan. Yes,
in person.
In person, in seas of people.
And everyone was social distanced.
No, none of them. None of that. This was straight up take your life. This was straight up take your life in your hands and enjoy rock and roll music.
Sounds like you were in Jersey.
It was in Jersey. Yes. Yes.
I thought it was in like Philly or something.
No.
It was technically in Jersey. They said it was in Philly. It was across the bridge in Jersey.
So it was Camden then.
Exactly. That's where it was. It was in Camden. Trying to squeeze.
I know exactly where you were.
Yes. Yes. It was a great show. It definitely was kind of leaning to the nostalgia aspect because the opening acts, they had some smaller bands. One of them was Offspring. If you want to go right back into
I love Offspring.
early 90s schlock, and they played their hits. And the other one was Logan, who did the song I Want You to Want Me?
Me.
I want
10 Things I Hate About You, but
Yes.
And
Cleo, Letters to Cleo.
yep, Letters to Cleo.
Yeah.
not the name of the band. It's not Letters to Cleo.
That was the remake one, and it was the better one.
Well, it's the remake, but oh, come
The better
on.
one. I don't know who really. I heard the original. It wasn't as good. Just
All right.
Trick.
Yes.
Keep Trick. Yes. There you go.
The remake was better.
I actually did like the Letters to Cleo version.
See,
Not that I don't like the original. I just,
but it's better.
but I do think sometimes remakes can improve.
I do like a good cover. I also like a good what do they call it? A rendition where it's not the same time signature and all that.
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, I actually just heard the other day somebody took Metallica's Inner Sandman and made it jazz.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah. I was like, okay.
I've got the whole new Black album on order that they have like all of the artists covering all the songs. So like there's gonna be it's like an Elton John and
Miley Cyrus
doing Nothing Else Matters.
Yeah.
Really?
I heard Miley Cyrus's rendition of Nothing Else Matters that they did like live.
Yeah.
And she kills it, man.
She is
such a phenomenal singer.
Oh, it's almost a shame she gets so distracted by the show because her voice alone is, I mean, look at her lineage. Yeah. Billy Ray Cyrus is no slouch himself. He can belt. And it passed on because she is incredible.
I never listened to her songs and I was not a fan, but when I heard her hit those notes,
she did Jolene.
That is my favorite version of that song.
She did an amazing job. I always thought Jolene was
killed it.
She did, and then also I haven't heard it, but I heard that Lil Nas redid Jolene, but I haven't found it.
I saw it on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
Like, I need to hear that now too. Yes.
Yeah.
I love that song, period. But
there are some hilarious commercials going out right now with Uber Eats where they mix two different celebrities together, and they have one with Elton John and not Lil Nas X.
That's a good one.
It is a good one.
I love the Patrick Stewart and Mark Hamill one.
Yes, exactly.
That was fabulous.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, you got to check that out. That one's
so
hilarious.
good.
I'm not a big fan of the gymnast and I guess he's from a style show. What's her name? Biles.
Simone Biles.
Yeah, Simone Biles. It's her and he's apparently a TV personality. I just don't know him that well. And it doesn't work for me. But everybody's got their niche. And so back to Jane's Addiction. Jane's Addiction. Of course, they did all their hits, and I mean all their hits. They had two. I'll tell you this, in my mind, two of probably the most perfectly crafted albums. Ritual de la Habitual and Nothing Shocking. And I can't find a bad song on either one of those albums. And they did all those, maybe one of their newest things that nobody wanted to hear. And even some of their old stuff from their first album, Triple X, they killed it. And again, Perry Farrell is 62 years old, but he did not show up just to go through the motions. He went full speed. And Dave Navarro was there, shirtless as usual, and doing his thing. The band is just, I'm so glad I caught them live because, again, 62 years old, that's not guaranteeing that you'll be around in another 5 years, at least touring, so it's always good to catch those groups. And just again, shout out to that band for, still putting on a good show. And I definitely, I say this, I only will leave my zip code for two bands. One is Jane's Addiction. The other one is Deftones. And that's just because those 2 decades were, they're kind of like the soundtrack of the 80s and 90s. But don't forget, I am tomorrow, or I guess in a little while, October, going to see Idols, which I was telling you guys about. Idols, the punk band from Bristol. And, you should have that on your playlist. Matter of fact, this is one thing I was talking to Logan about. I'm going to start putting out binge-worthy singles on our TikTok account because we don't need to worry about copyright infringement, yada, yada, yada. So, don't forget to follow us on TikTok. We'll start doing like some binge-worthy songs that we like. And, feel free to comment, like, and share and all that stuff. We're going to blow up the internet doing this. I don't think anybody else is doing it. We're going to revolutionize the entire medium.
I like the thing you said there, though, about the band, the bands you would leave your zip code for. For me, I think there's only one, and that's Santana.
Ooh, yeah. No, Santana.
So I have actually flown multi-states to go see him. I've gotten to see Santana twice. The first time I got super lucky, and that was because I can't remember if it was 2011 or 2012 when I still lived in Colorado. He played Red Rocks. And I'm going to tell you right now, if folks on the internet, if you have never been to a concert at Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado, that should be a pilgrimage.
I would love to get to that venue.
So for those that don't know, Red Rocks is basically carved out of stone. It's basically a giant, not a mountainside, but a giant hillside. It was all stone, and they basically carved the theater, the amphitheater, out of that. So all the seats are basically just rock that's been shaped into seats. But the acoustics, because of that, the sound is amazing. I saw B.B. King in one of his last performances there, and then I saw Santana, and those were two of the best shows I have ever been to.
Santana,
yeah.
What did Santana bring? Who was that guy that was remember when Santana had that album and he had like a lot of guests?
Rob Thomas.
Oh, you're talking about the
guy from Matchbox 20.
Yeah,
Rob Thomas, Michelle Branch, those artists.
He did. So that was his covers, or not covers. That was his. I can't remember the name of the album, but no,
he did. The ones I have.
What he did do though is around that time is when I think Guitar Heaven came out, and that was an album of his where he did covers of a lot of big songs, and he worked with other artists. Like he did a cover of Back in Black with Nas. He did Whole Lot of Love. Dang, who is the? I'm trying to remember. Hang on.
A whole lot of love. That's a, I mean, I'm a big Zeppelin fan. That whole lot of love is nice, but I'm more like a Black Dog and I'm Gonna Leave You. Those are my, like the slow blues.
He did Whole Lot of Love, and he had Chris Cornell singing.
Oh wow!
Yes,
I could see that.
So that album is called Guitar Heaven, and it's like greatest hits, and it's Santana and his band playing, and then he had different artists. So he did Def Leppard's Photograph with Chris Daughtry.
Oh,
I'm going to tell you, I actually think that it is better than Def Leppard's version of the song. Chris Daughtry has an amazing voice.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, forgive me.
Very underrated.
What's Chris Daughtry from again?
He was
Daughtry.
Daughtry. He was American Idol.
The bald guy.
Yep, from North Carolina.
Yeah, but
bald
those
guy.
albums, his albums are incredible. His range, his voice. Yeah.
Another song is on that Santana album, Little Wing, with Joe Cocker. And then he did Sunshine of Your Love with that was another Rob Thomas collaboration.
Joe Cocker. I mean, how long ago was this?
This album came out around 2010, 2011, something like that.
So 10 years ago, yeah. Yeah. No, that again.
And what I was saying is when I saw him at Red Rocks, 2011, 2012, whenever that was, he actually played a good number of these songs. Now he didn't have the normal artist, like he didn't have Chris Cornell, but he had his band that would sing, and I just didn't realize like how well some of his, like the guys that sing for him live, they're really good as well. And they're not well known. They're not like huge solo artists or anything like that, but man, they can sing.
Oh, well, you know what? I mean, it's probable that some of the best singers in the world we've never heard of. Just we've heard of the most famous singers in the world, but and again, especially the professional who are on tour. I mean, there was a documentary called, I think it was like 30 Feet from Stardom. And it was about backup singers that have just toured with everybody, and they're phenomenal singers, but they're just not the stars. They're like the backup singers, but again, not saying they're not as talented or not even more so. They're just not. They're not Britney Spears. They're not Shakira, but they sing just as well, if not better. Anyway.
So, Logan, did you have anybody? Is there any musical act that you would leave your zip code to go see?
I have for Evanescence, Amy Lee in particular.
Yeah,
I've seen her a couple times.
She's got a great voice.
She's amazing. Oh, so amazing. Trying to think who else.
I saw her ex live in Colorado.
And Bryan Adams. Bryan Adams, I would go see anywhere close. The only problem with Bryan Adams concerts I have is usually the audience. And all these individuals, and male and female both, who feel like, shouting out all sorts of things all the time is going to magically make him be like, oh, you in the 42nd row in the second balcony. Yes, I do want to have your children. Why don't you come down here? No, he doesn't care. So stop ruining it for everybody else.
Yeah, that reminds me of the Van Halen concert. I got to see Van Halen in 2011. 2011 was 2000. I would say, 2011 and 2012 were huge concert years for me. I was going through a very bitter divorce, and trying to get just my life in general figured out. And music has always been like a therapy for me. And so I turned to that, and so I was going to all kinds of concerts just to get away from things, and yeah, but I saw Van Halen with David Lee Roth.
I was going to say, was it Van Halen or Van Hagar?
No, I would actually rather see Van Hagar.
Yeah.
Yes, because David Lee Roth is such a prima donna. The man stopped a song in the middle of a song, stops because there was apparently a little bit of water on. So for those that don't know, David Lee Roth has a special stage on the stage. It's basically these mats that they put down that allow him to do his little dance moves, very smoothly. There was a little bit of water on it. He stops, just pauses the song, and goes and gets a towel and cleans it up, and then they go back, and you could just tell like the whole band is like, "Oh my god, like really, dude." And he's like getting mad at the maintenance crew because they didn't get the water. He was off beat the entire night. Like he just was not on beat with any of the songs. It was not keeping up tempo, and it was just. But I didn't go for Van Halen. I went for Eddie because I'm a guitarist, and getting to see Eddie Van Halen perform live is just another dream come true.
What do you think about Dave Navarro's guitar skills? Going back
to
Jane's
Dave Navarro is fantastic. He's phenomenal.
What's your favorite Jane's Addiction song?
I actually don't know. I don't know
what
my favorite. Yeah, because I know Dave Navarro from his Red Hot Chili Pepper days.
Oh no.
But I also know Dave Navarro from just being Dave Navarro, the guitarist, right? Like I like him just as a guitarist in general.
I hear you, but you need to listen to.
I had never heard of like Parker Fly guitars until I saw Dave Navarro playing them.
Yeah, you know the song 3 Days from Jane's Addiction, right?
I think so.
Oh.
I don't know a lot of Jane's Addiction songs.
Well, you should. You should know all of them.
No.
Yes, and that is what I'm saying to you, everybody out there on the internet. Your homework assignment is to listen to every Jane's Addiction song in chronological order up until the late 90s. Then stop listening. Don't finish. But it again, we'll have it on our TikTok. Just a quick snippets of Jane's Addiction songs that I think you guys will dig. So there'll be binge-worthy songs. We're going to be branching out into the music genre. Like I said, we're breaking the internet because it needs to be broken because it's all.
I'm down for this because I actually have a lot of.
There you go.
I would love to
bring it
here and
you'll throw your Santana.
We didn't get Ramon. Ramon, is there any band or music act that you would leave your zip code for?
Yes, definitely. Kenny Loggins.
Oh.
Yeah. So, Kenny Loggins.
I like it.
Is actually Kenny Loggins. If Stevie Ray Vaughan, if he's alive, or actually I've seen what do you call this? Dan Fogelberg in concert at Vienna, and I said basically when I watched that, I basically said I could not die in peace. Just because of the fact that Kenny Loggins and Dan Fogelberg, they actually growing up, they were like Danny Song and leader of the band. Those are the very first songs that I ever learned on the guitar. And then Stevie Ray was the one who got me into the whole blues. Playing the blues and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those are like of course there are others, but I would say if there's anyone else, since Stevie Ray is not alive anymore, I would say Kenny Loggins definitely. I would see any of his concert anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
Danger Zone,
yeah. So Conviction of the Heart, all the good stuff. Danny song, the old and the new stuff. I mean, he keeps on going. I mean, he's So definitely Kenny Loggins.
I don't know why I just thought of this. but during my year of concerts back, almost 10 years ago, I saw what you would call, I guess, a super group, and I forgot all about them. They're called Chickenfoot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sammy Hagar,
Mm-hmm.
Michael Anthony, right, former bassist from Van Halen,
Yep.
Joe Satriani, the guitarist, and Chad Smith, the drummer from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
No, the Avengers.
Yep.
Huh?
Yeah.
The Avengers.
The Avengers of music. They actually were killed. I actually saw them. So I saw them at the Fillmore in Denver, which is not a huge venue, and it was just an amazing show. Like they just went all out, and it was just loved it.
Well,
I could talk about music all day.
No, and we've been talking about music. So
Sorry.
First of all, Ramon, you and Kenny can get together and start a super group because both of you are guitarists in your own right, and Logan will be the groupies, and we can just and enjoy them, and we'll do the lighters. Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff.
Good.
Again, keep an eye out on our social because I'm gonna inundate you with Perry Farrell, Dave Navarro music to drive you beautifully insane, which is what their music does. But let's move it along. Logan, you had some breaking news. Breaking news.
I did have some breaking news. That is true. And breaking news. Disney and Scarlett Johansson have resolved their Bitter Profits lawsuit.
Yeah.
And rumor has it, though of course all these things are sealed, that it did work out in the Black Widow's favor.
She's a killer. She's a killer.
Yes. So apparently their differences and things have been resolved. Originally, the lawsuit was kind of pushed back till like March. So there was some concern about how long this was going to drag out. But it looks like things have been solved kind of under the table and behind closed doors. There's no, obviously, indication of how much money was involved, but according to Deadline News, there is some hint that the deal will be in the $40 million range in her favor, though obviously not paid in a lump sum kind of a thing. So there's probably some stuff going on, and if you were watching this closely, like some of us were a little bit more so than others, it was kind of in the cards. Everybody knew Black Widow was not really getting a sequel because how many movies can you shove in the period of time between when the world, Thanos snapped and she died? You're not going to put, a whole interconnected trilogy necessarily in that period of time. But Disney had actually apparently signed on Emma Stone for a sequel for Cruella, which included a lot more of kind of those streaming things to kind of, because there was talk originally of her possibly signing on to this kind of a lawsuit because she didn't necessarily have that to begin with. Well, apparently they had signed with her, and it was, looking like there might be some favorable outcomes, because when it comes down to it, Disney can only handle being looked down upon for so long. It's just not in their makeup, which is really the only power that any of their kind of stars have to some extent. And if you can get a loud enough voice, you can get the mouse to relent.
Or pay you to go away,
or pay you to go away, or pay you to continue, because there was talk even too that that she's looking forward to continuing her work with them now that all of this is behind them, and that there was something else about, I think, what was it, Tower of Terror or something else she was working on with them that Tower of Terror to work with that project and other future ones with Disney. So I'm sure part of it was, yes, this was ugly. Yes, we're sad this happened, but we've resolved this now. So help us work to recover some of the face we lost when we were stupid, and make it right. And it's, hopefully Disney, the new leadership, if you will, kind of learns from some of this and is able to head things off in the future and not allow it to get to this point, and
That's what
pay people fairly who either write the material that earns you the billions or act the material that's written that earns you billions. And when it comes down to it, it's not worth it all.
40 million.
So good news, great news. I think we called it here that eventually they would go ahead and kind of work this out, and very, very glad that they have, and especially in Scarlett Johansson's favor. So good news all around.
That is.
I'm actually very happy for her. I mean, I was somewhat following the story, and I really did not like the way that Disney tried to shame her. An agreement is an agreement. She had an agreement with Disney, and I just didn't like the way that Disney basically shamed her, basically telling them that people are suffering from the pandemic, and all you're thinking about is blah 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 blah. Well, that an agreement is an agreement, and I'm just glad that she won this. So
exactly, yeah. No, you're right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hate to say it, but I would almost expect a corporation to try and just take the money, when they get a chance. But if part of your overall business model is your branding, and you're a public-facing organization that requires, people to want to come and see you, you got to just be smarter. You get and what's the win if you take one of the properties of one of the largest franchises in the history of cinema and you just publicly chastise them, and again, this being one of the few female-led superhero movies ever, and just basically come at them like some guy from the 50s,
alienate your fan base,
and from a franchise that is all about, they're trying to teach girls that they can be strong and that they can do all these things, and
just don't ask for the money that the men get. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Like there was no win for Disney in this from anywhere from the beginning till now, and it probably cost them more than if they would have settled this before it even got to this point.
Of course,
100%.
I mean, it's like they're in a field of rakes and they just keep stepping on their.
Yes, it was so short-sighted. It was surprising, but hopefully it was just new leadership who didn't necessarily understand the philosophy of the mouse, and maybe now they've gotten it and things can be smooth from here on out.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest, it's business, it's not friendship. So they will work with her again if it puts butts in the seats.
Yep, and I think they have to. I think part of their thing has to be to continue showing that, look, we're still working together. Look, we've worked this out. We were wrong, but we made it right, and everything is fine, and everybody's happy.
If
like
she's willing, y'all. She might not be. She might be like, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not like she needs them. She'll get plenty of other movie deals.
Yeah.
I mean, her official statement, was she's proud of the work they've done and enjoyed her creative relationship and look forward to continuing collaboration for years to come. So,
of course, you Disney.
No, you're absolutely right. She's not going to say that, but look, it's both in her interest and Disney's interest for her to both say and do that.
Yes,
because everybody was watching this to such an extent, they're going to watch the future. And if she says that and then never does another project with Disney, well, that says something too.
That says something more about Disney than it does her.
It absolutely does. But if she were, ungracious about it and was just, her statement was, well, it's about time they paid me my money, that's a whole different thing on her brand too. So
but I don't think that might be it. Not ungracious. It could be, you've wronged me and therefore I no longer trust you and therefore I no longer want to work with you. That's not ungracious. That's statement of fact. Burn me once, that's your fault. Burn me twice, that's my fault, right? True. So I would not be surprised if she decided not to.
True. And I Disney completely, screw the pooch on this. I don't like that expression, but it seems a pro. I think but again, Disney has been doing obviously these Marvel movies for a while. I think, and to your point, Logan, about them being short-sighted, greed does that. greed does make you short-sighted because you're trying to say, hey, we can save 40, 50 million just by not, honoring that kind of contract that we said about cinema box office versus, streaming revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So they were just like, what are you going to do? And she showed them what she was going to do.
Yeah.
And they were like, ooh, yeah, that hurts. We'll play nice. And, I have a feeling that she's been around. She's been in the industry since what?
Sure.
We have a zoo, right, with Matt Damon. So
I'm sure before that.
Yeah, exactly. So she knows the business. I honestly don't think she would, as long as they're signing checks, it's not like they're going to happy hour together. I think she would probably work them.
There might be some pride in there. There might be some principle in there. I mean,
yeah, but
if you want to talk about greed, I mean, if that's not her motivation, then there can be other motivating factors.
It absolutely could be. I'm just saying, I've seen people. Remember, I had that thing in talking about Swordfish earlier. I had that issue with Halle Berry and her principles, all up until Swordfish, and then she's like, "Yeah, here are my principles," and there you go.
So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yes.
And what I also think will be interesting is if she does work with them again, what that contract looks like and what that compensation looks like.
Well, I think also one of the great things is she has essentially established that in this new world of
streaming,
this media, you have that's a new factor because it was not up until that point. So she's basically setting the standard for especially women leads.
Sure,
you have their rear end covered when it comes to these contracts because it was such an obsequious kind of a thing.
And look, when it comes down to it, her agent negotiated those contracts.
Right.
So that was probably short-sighted on the agent's part to not necessarily include those kind of streaming things because, I mean, Disney streaming went from nowhere to, Black Widow did what, $125 million in the first couple weekends? Like, it went from nowhere 2 or 3 years ago, there was no Disney Plus,
right, to
being able to do that kind of money. So in some ways too, it's probably her on her agents being like, look, you weren't ahead on this, other people were. Some of the rumors I was reading said that Dwayne Johnson's agency was, had streaming rights in there for Jungle Cruise, which is why, he said nothing but good things about Disney.
Now Logan, the only reason I'm thinking that may or may not be the case is because I have a feeling that Scarlett signed probably earlier, like not way before, but
it was probably pre-pandemic.
And I heard
heard
that Dwayne was able to renegotiate after the movie came out. So I'm hearing that I think that was one of the controversies is I think Dwayne kind of had the same deal, but for some mystical reason they allowed Dwayne.
Nobody can figure out what that reason might be.
Totally random. They just said, okay, Wayne, sure, you can renegotiate based on the new streaming platforms, but Scarlett, no, we're just going to take the money and and again
that's
the mouse.
Very, very possible too.
Well,
and we are far enough removed from this that speculation is king.
Yes.
But yes, either way, it is good to see it righted. And hopefully, again, one of the things that early on, I think a lot of people who are watching this with no vested interest whatsoever were hoping this would allow the smaller actor, the really, really little fish to be able to point to these kinds of things and be like, look, I realize that, my indie movie that you purchased for a bag of peanuts might make a shell. But you know what? I want a fraction of that shell on streaming rights. And hopefully that starts to make that trend happen through the industry because, look, when it comes down to it, those little guys and those little actors are the ones who become the stars later and the ones who, are really doing it.
Absolutely. No, you're right. I mean, with this new delivery system and being able to bypass, and again, don't get me wrong, theater chains, I mean, they employ people, they're a cultural event. I love my theater. I literally just came from a theater today.
Yeah.
But being able to get the smaller films out there to the public,
Yes.
Via this new delivery system, I think it can be a fantastic thing. Now, everything will find its balance. You'll still have theaters, maybe just not as much. But yeah, we should make a movie and put that out on streaming.
Let's do it.
I already got.
Wouldn't be my first.
There you go. But that was pre-pandemic. Now that we've got the pandemic on our side, we can
on our side. Interesting choice of words.
We'll call it Pandemic Studios. There you go.
I'm sure that's been taken by some independent zombie film somewhere.
Yeah. Yes.
The Avengers.
Yes.
Yeah, the Avengers.
But thanks for that breaking news. Now, and Logan, you had another topic that you were gonna regale us with.
Yes, I had. I did have two more actually. One in particular. So we had been talking about Nicolas Cage recently, and lo and behold, I found a trailer for a new Nicolas Cage movie that is completely Nicolas Cage level bonkers. So, Prisoners of Ghostland, as Entertainment Weekly calls it in their opening sentence, is
spelled wrong.
Is what?
Is it intentionally spelled wrong?
No, it is not. It just happens to be spelled wrong. But it is not your average.
Something related to okay.
It is not your average post-apocalyptic samurai western with an Oscar-winning lead actor.
Samurai
Western. Post-apocalyptic.
Post-apocalyptic samurai Western with an Oscar-winning lead actor.
What is a typical post-apocalyptic samurai Western?
I don't know.
Firefly with samurai.
It involves Keanu Reeves at some point.
And possibly Tom Cruise in space. I don't really know. But Entertainment Weekly wins with that opening sentence. But basically, Nicolas Cage is in this movie, plays a bank robber who is freed from jail by a wealthy warlord in order to locate the warlord's missing granddaughter. Except the catch is that he's forced to wear a leather suit covered in explosives to keep him in line, including 2 next to his testicles that will explode should he become aroused.
That old chestnut. Or those old chestnuts.
So apparently the second Nicolas Cage heard this, he was just absolutely ecstatic about wanting to do this.
This is like Suicide Squad on the whole level.
He was like, this is, he knew that he had the vision. He could play this with his performance and do a Western kabuki approach to film performance. And if that isn't the quintessential definition of Nicolas Cage, I don't know what is. And that explains so much about the over dramatization that he's played in some of his recent ones. It is absolutely kabuki-esque. And I absolutely love and adore any chance I get to see a kabuki play or movie or adaptation or anything. Some of my favorite random movies are from kabuki actors who made a transition to film. Just incredible. And you know what? That really gives me a different look on the way Nicolas Cage goes about doing stuff. But it was shot in Japan. He went there and actually kind of pushed for it to be in there after, I guess, the writer-director had a heart attack or some health issues or something. And he was just like, I want to make this movie so bad. You stay in your hospital bed and I'll just come to your country and film it. It was that, he wanted to do this.
Well, I had to look it up.
Yeah.
I had to look it up.
I gotta ask though, is it on the scale of Ghost Rider? Is it above or below?
So,
I think that depends.
It's set. So the setting is the treacherous frontier city of Samurai Town, and the evil warlord's name, the Governor.
Yes, it's great.
Come on.
It's so
come
great.
On.
I want to see this movie
because
so bad.
hear samurais, you of course think Nicolas Cage.
I mean, like, how, like, I mean, who was sitting around going, what do we call this post-apocalyptic, samurai city? No, that doesn't.
I don't think they thought that.
Samurai, Ville? No. Samurai Town. Yeah, there we go. Samurai Town.
Yeah.
This is going to be Samurai Town.
Well, again, I have a funny feeling that the original title might have been different, but the American version is Samurai Town. It's something suffer in translation. I'll tell you this. I have seen like Korean films that were samurai westerns, so kind of like a Buckaroo Banzai, post-apocalyptic hodgepodge of cultural samurai steampunk kind of a thing. So I'm in. Again, Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
If you take the governor off, no pun intended, and let him go full Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
you're in for a show either way. So yeah.
And when they describe it as kabuki in that way, like, man, that really makes sense. That really, really gets it. That over exaggeration.
I'm absolutely gonna watch this. Just to like, just to see what the hell it is.
I'm gonna make a bet that Wild Wild West will be better than this one.
Well, you know what? It's coming out, and
Look, it's not sure.
Not sure.
I'm all about the watch parties. It is coming out on Amazon, so
we can do that.
Yeah,
I will make time for that.
Yeah. We'll get our bottomless popcorn.
Well, hang on, 4.3 out of 10 on IMDb. Hang on, we need to see what Wild Wild West got. What?
Yeah, you can't trust IMDb. Those guys are hacks.
Wild Wild West got 4.9. IMDb says Wild Wild West is better.
But this hasn't really come out yet, so it's got time.
Yeah, and
we'll have to do a follow-up.
And here's the thing. Technically, it could be horrible, but that's not the point.
No.
It's you're going to see Nicolas Cage in his unbridled madness.
We somehow need to get everybody, like all of us, on this next watch party or whenever this comes out, and just because I think it's going to turn into a whole, Mystery Science Theater 3000 commentary.
I think this with the kids that day.
That would be a bad idea. I mean,
I with the kids.
That is literally the whole point of the watch party. So don't forget we're also going to be doing on the 11th, October the 11th, the Avengers Civil War.
That's right.
We're doing that watch party. We already have over 2,000 people registered to watch that with us. So you out there in internet land, there's no real place because the internet's virtual. Come and see us. It's like Samurai Town, but it's called Internet Land. And you come out and
where Wreck-It Ralph went.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
You went to the Internet Land.
You went to the Internet Land, yeah.
He did.
Logan, I gotta ask you though: is this PG? Is Samurai Town or whatever this movie is going to be? Is it PG-13?
That's a great question. I'm going to guess absolutely not. But I did not see a rating, to be honest.
Hang on.
Well, it has to be PG-13, right? I mean, the placement of the explosives. I mean,
does not have an official rating yet.
Well, first of all, why would Nicolas Cage, want to have anything to do with samurais if he's not going to be slicing and dicing? And there's got to be arterial.
And look, if I don't see at least one nut explosion, like I'm going to be let down here. Let's be serious.
Exactly.
I like the title for one of the reviews is "What on Earth Did I Just Watch?" That's how you know it's going to be good.
Yes.
Exactly. It's impactful.
And then another one says only for Nicolas Cage.
I wish I washed the dishes instead.
Oh.
See, Wild Wild West is better.
I mean, I'm just having another deja vu with Ghost Rider. I mean, that last.
Well, the second one was not really.
Yeah, but I didn't even watch the second one because of the first one. Especially.
Nah, me.
We can't see it. What are you looking at?
It's
The little title of the review is Nah, B.
Nah, B. That's
Yeah.
the whole review.
Like, nah,
Which-
bruh. You know?
or which.
The kids. All right. Well, thank you for that. We will be watching that. That again.
When you're
again,
you're on
I remember when I saw Nicolas Cage and Mandy, and I was like, this guy's a genius at being insane. And I mean, don't get me wrong, he's been doing stuff forever that's just way beyond the pale and over the top. But the first time I loved him in a role was Leaving Las Vegas. But and again, did he win an Academy Award for that?
Was it that one?
He should, or Moonstruck. I mean, I never saw him in Moonstruck, but I'll tell you what, if you want to see Nicolas Cage do a straight dramatic role, Leaving Las Vegas, beautiful film. Him and Elizabeth Shue. Okay, 30-second gist of it. He plays an alcoholic who moves to Las Vegas to drink himself to death. He encounters a woman of the night played by Elizabeth Shue. They fall in love, but he's still on a mission to drink himself to death, and she is trying to basically help him survive, but he doesn't want to survive, so it's that old chestnut. But it's beautiful. Sting had some, a great song with it. Beautiful movie, dark, but that's how I like it. So out there, if you want to be depressed and watch, tragic love, that is a movie for you. And if you want to see psychedelic mayhem with Nicolas Cage, go watch Mandy. Well, this I can't speak to it yet. I'm actually going to wait till it has Sophia Boutella in it too.
Yeah.
According to one review title, the title is "When You're on Laced Shrooms and Bad LSD at a Burning Man Festival in a Japanese Desert."
Yeah.
That's
a lot to unpack in a review title.
I mean, that's never something I do, but if this movie helps me experience that, I'm okay.
You can check the box.
You
can have the trip without all the side effects.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm actually looking forward to this.
There you go. We're all in.
We're all in.
I'll keep my brain cells. Thank you.
Oh, come on. I mean, what else are we gonna do?
Watch Downton Abbey instead.
Again?
Or Wild Wild West.
Yes, that is a film I've heard about.
You just love pushing those buttons.
I like when your face twitch.
Logan, thank you so much for the Prisoners of Ghostland. What else do you have, good sir?
So the last thing I have is the biggest thing for me personally ever.
Ever?
This show is hands down my number one favorite show ever. It was my first science fiction love that was kind of mine and my own that I found. It has made more of an impact on me than most, pretty much any other TV or movie series ever. And more than I even realized up until just this last year, in that the writer and creator of Babylon 5, J. Michael Straczynski, actually worked on the 1986 The Real Ghostbusters animated series. And he wrote a number of the stories for that. And I remember watching that I don't really remember it, but I know that I watched it when I was 2 and 3 and when my baby brother was being born. Because my father was having me do like little video messages back and forth on like a VHS like camcorder. It was huge. While my mother was in the hospital, and you could hear Ghostbusters playing in the background. So I have been influenced by and watching the works of this individual since I was 2 at a minimum. And I met him at New York Comic Con once briefly through an autograph line, which was, just amazing. I've met a number of the cast from Babylon 5, including a few who are unfortunately no longer with us. And Babylon 5 was just the most stunning and incredible science fiction show at its time, and even still it holds up ever. It did serialize before serialize was a thing. It was one of the shows that introduced that to the entire television genre that you can tell more than just episodic stories.
Mhm.
I mean, he had a 5-year arc and a 5-year plan that was completely written out in advance and knew exactly where he was going. So you have episodes in season 1 that pay off in season 4. You have a single line of dialogue from season 1 that is the entire premise of an episode in the season 3 that completely just, it's like, oh, this character said this and it was a foreshadowing for all of these things. And it's astonishing and stunning to watch all of the interconnectedness in this show. It is the most incredible series I have ever seen. And the big news with it is that they are doing a reboot through the CW, and with Straczynski himself writing it, and will be show running it as well.
Wow.
They are giving him an incredible amount of latitude, apparently, because the network both has apparently a lot of fans of the show who are up in high levels there, and understand that the storytelling in the way that he does it requires his hand and his control on it. The original Babylon 5, he wrote, I believe, 92 of 111 episodes. The
Wow.
cohesiveness of the voice of the characters and of the story and the plot lines and everything that went through it is just bar none. Writers' rooms are great, and he certainly had his share of writers who came on. But I mean, he wrote in the entirety of seasons 3 and seasons 4, and there is no television anywhere that even comes close to rivaling those seasons. It's just so unique and so deep and incredible, and I've had my wife actually coming back and rewatching it, and we've literally burned through 4 seasons in the last couple months because she's just, yeah, we could just watch more of that. Like, that'd be great.
Let me ask you: is this
yeah.
is this streaming anywhere?
It's streaming on HBO Plus or HBO Max. I'm sorry. HBO actually went and just in the last year or so remastered all of the non-digital effects, but the actual film strips into high definition, and it looks gorgeous.
Let's
Told me on this show.
let's put it on
Yeah.
the docket.
Yeah.
Let's. I mean,
Yep.
we've been doing a lot of
100%.
episodic
Yep.
watch long parties. This sounds now, because remember we were talking about maybe doing Star Trek, but if you have a preference, we can do one or the other.
One, the other, both. I mean, they all have their qualities. Babylon 5 in particular, the original, one of the hardest things about it was that season 1 establishes so much of the universe that it's a little hard to get through season 1. I will freely admit that, because there is so much there. But once you get into 2 and then by 3, forget it. And then you're realizing that, oh my God, all these little nuances and a lot of the political drama between the alien races and the things that, why did this take an entire episode, or why did, at the time, like, this is a slog to get through. You're watching all of these things pay off. I mean, you're watching species rise and fall and intergalactic conflicts, start from nothing. The characters, they're just some amazing character actors. Andreas Katsoulis is not somebody you would necessarily know by name, but man, the characters he played, you would recognize from whether it was a Babylon 5 or a Star Trek. He could play such emotion through so much prosthetics. It was just amazing to watch. He did it when he played Romulans on Star Trek, and he did it when he played Jakar on Babylon 5. Amazing. And that's unfortunately one of the great things about the series and its history, but one of the hard things about this reboot, in that almost more than half the cast has already left this plane of existence. They've already all died. There aren't enough cast members left to do justice to a continuation story, which obviously is what, I think a lot of people would want. But, everybody's partner, if you will, whether it was a diplomat and his attaché, or 2 lovers, or, those core kind of everyday people who you need to relate to the space station space, they're all dead. Like, you can't bring them back and you can't use them. So I think, as much as I would love to live in a world where, like, all the next gen crew is still there, you could do a next gen movie tomorrow.
Right.
You can't do that with Babylon 5. You haven't been able to for well over a decade. So being able to kind of reboot it to, have him take a look at everything that's happened since Babylon 5 and how would those impact future storytelling and future aspects of a fictional world like that. What are the questions that kind of we're asking and confronting every day, and how do we take that to further down the road in the future and kind of reflect that? His ability to tell stories is just incredible, and I cannot wait to see what he does with this moving forward.
No, this sounds exciting, and I definitely want to allocate time for the show to get a foundation. I'm looking at this, 22 episodes per season.
Oh, this was no slouch. Yes.
What is that?
This
What
was
episodes.
And not all full length. They were an hour show.
Wow.
So 46 minutes, 48 minutes kind of thing.
Wow.
And he's more accessible than any other writer or anything I know. I have the entire complete set of all of the scripts for all of the episodes. I have the original show Bible for Babylon 5. He put all this out. He's been online communicating with fans back when we still did it through, what do they call them? Chat rooms and message boards. I've got 5 books of just his answers and communications back and forth with the fans from back then. He is thoughtful. He is intricate. He is engaged. He sets his boundaries well. And you have to respect that. But man, his ability to tell a story and craft a universe is bar none. And, there's certainly some, why can't you take a new franchise? Well, Babylon 5 was ahead of its time in that it did have a spin-off, and it did have made-for-TV movies at the time that didn't even feature some of the main crew and the main cast.
Oh, wow.
So it was trying to do an open universe, a shared universe that everybody wants to do 20 years before its time. Wow. So if he can recreate that kind of storytelling in that world and that richness of entertainment now, in the B5 verse could be bigger than the Arrowverse has turned into. And that's incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good ship. I'm in.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go back and watch the original.
Yeah.
I think I got into like a couple of episodes when it started off, but then again, I think it came out. I think Deep Space Nine came out pretty much all at the same time, and I unfortunately had loyalties with Star Trek because I know that universe, and I know that and I basically have familiarity with what do you call this, with what's going on.
Sure.
And, I will try to get back into Babylon 5 because. The thing with the Deep Space Nine is like, for instance, when the Klingons started, there was an episode where the Klingons and the Romulans were already in this heightened state of war, and the Klingons came over took over the station. I was going like, well, I know that story because it was also being hinted upon in other Star Trek series.
Yeah.
But that I do want to get, now that you'd say that the first season's kind of hard to get through. I might try because I think there was something also about the first season that kind of hard.
Oh, it's a lot of interspecies politics. It's a lot of kind of laying the foundation and giving you all of the backstory, which is a lot and somewhat dry for that kind of understanding that you already have with Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And it builds into a universal conflict that's bigger than the Dominion War. I mean, without question. And I would even argue that some of what Babylon 5 was able to do with their serialized storytelling was what led to the interconnectedness of the Dominion War in seasons 5 and 6 and 7, and then Enterprise for how well that worked or didn't work, as well as other TV shows. Like it told a story so cohesively and so coherently that people realized it could be done. And I mean, part of the tragedy of it all is that it didn't even end as a series because ratings failed. Ratings were at the top. Literally, the network it was on failed.
Mm.
And it was picked up like last minute by a whole different network before it was even a thing to do. So trying to do that and everything back, 20 years ago, switch networks and tell a story when, the story had to be wrapped up a little bit quicker than it would have been according to the Bible, because, the network was dying and there was no season 5 because there was no network that would be around in that year. That was a little hard. And then to tell stories after and to try and kind of resurrect it and stuff, like it had some things, and it had a spin-off series called Crusade, which was the same kind of picking up after the events of Babylon 5 and other stories, and had another 5-year plan, but again had to kind of build more of that history and on a new network that just it wasn't there. So yeah, the possibilities and the opportunities for Babylon 5 were cut short just due to its circumstances, but the market left on television in general and the history that it's had since then, I'm so excited for this. I can't even tell you.
And I when I was looking at the cast, I remembered Bruce Boxlight.
Yeah. Tron. Yes.
Exactly. I mean, you talk about
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was also in Tron Legacy,
For a little bit, yeah.
Cool stuff. No, again, we got I was doing watch parties for obviously the Marvel movies, but I started also experimenting with Downton Abbey. We can do watch parties for that. We can do watch parties for Babylon 5. We can do like one a week of each one of these, and just
Firefly.
Well, now we're getting a little too sci-fi heavy. I mean, let's at least
we were comic book heavy before.
No, well, I wasn't doing DC, Marvel. Listen, I'm saying let's finish one and then go to the other.
We would never finish anything comic book.
It never ends. That's the whole point. Is we just keep going. Like Matthew McConaughey said, and again, here's another one. Let's do a true crime watch party.
I've never seen that.
Oh, you would love it. It airs to the darker, but it's definitely kind of a detective noir type of a deal, but it's done in this quirky relationship with Matthew McConaughey, who's kind of a nihilist, and Woody Harrelson, who's just a real good detective but flawed, and they work together. And Matthew McConaughey's this is the true what do you call them, McConaughey-sance or whatever they called it, where he came back from all those romantic comedies and he was just killing it left and right. One of his best projects ever was this true crime. So definitely got to check that out. Logan, thank you for that. That is fantastic stuff. Now, last but not least, and actually I think this will be enjoyable because I have some thoughts on it. But we're gonna kick it over, and this is regarding Hollywood fight scenes. But I'm gonna kick it over to you, Ramon.
Yes. Okay. So wait, let me get my ninja outfit on.
Oh, he's in costume.
Okay.
There you go.
Actually, never mind. Yes. So actually, the reason why I wanted to tackle this topic because I've growing up, I've always been a huge fan of martial arts, martial art movies. What do you call it? I can remember actually my very first exposure to that was a black and white Japanese series called Shintaro. And growing up, and especially after Enter the Dragon came, and there was an explosion of like all sorts of martial arts movies out there, movies like in the 80s and 90s and stuff. And I was so into it. But recently I was watching this documentary where basically they were going they were talking about the whole explosion of martial arts is like an explosion in martial art, not just the martial arts movies, but after that you got a lot of like dojos popping up, schools on different styles of fighting, these different styles of martial arts, and a lot of self-proclaimed masters. Apparently, that the movie made it so good that people. I mean, for the longest time, people were like going like, "Okay, the stuff that we're seeing in the movies, I got to learn that stuff. I got to learn because I want to defend myself." And it's just recently where people are basically debunking a lot of the stuff that you're seeing in the movies. Not just that, even with styles itself, with the styles itself, the weaknesses, what works, what does not work in a street situation. I mean, you get into a street situation where adrenaline's pumping. I don't know whatever technique you've ever learned, but you're gonna when the adrenaline starts pumping, you're gonna forget about it. You're just gonna you're pretty much just gonna get into a fist fight, and it's just all hell.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been a couple of movies, not a couple of movies, but a couple of YouTube videos out there where basically, you got these whole self-proclaimed masters that, they've actually gotten to the delusion that watching the movies and stuff, and they got into this delusion that they actually can learn, and not only learn, become masters at this art. You even got some people who can knock other people out with just the chi, and they don't even know what the true definition of what a chi is. They just basically just use your chi, and then someone attacks you. They just stand there, do nothing, and then the person drops on the floor.
Yeah,
I've seen videos of that where they have these self-proclaimed masters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are now getting they're getting smarter about this stuff, and they're going like, okay, let's test out the theories, let's test out what they're saying. And there's even one guy who goes around, and this guy is not a professional fighter, but he goes around and challenges these masters, and he beat the crap out of like there's one video where there's this Tai Chi master that just like stands there in the middle of the room doing this, and the guy just comes at him with all he got and just knocks him out within like the first round. And I was going like, well, you know what is it? What is it about, what is it about movies that the fight scenes, where basically choreography versus technique. I mean, choreography, it's nice to look at. It's like watching people like get involved with like a kind of like a dance and stuff like that, and it's so pretty to watch. But you give it in a real situation, it's never going to work. Then you got like movies that are a little bit, case in point is like Kenny's favorite martial artist, Tony Jaa, like Ong Bak. I saw that. I was just blown away because I've never seen that kind of a style before.
Muay Thai.
I've never even heard of Muay Thai before I saw that. Well, Van Damme, yeah, kickboxer, but that wasn't.
So Tony Jaa is he started as a stuntman. He's from Thailand. Muay Thai is, of course, a Thai martial art. And what they did for like Ong Bak, right, is they just incorporated a lot of Muay Thai moves into the choreography.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really cool. I'm glad you brought this topic up because it's really interesting. If you like when they actually do show like behind the scenes interviews and things like that of how they develop the fight scenes, and they almost all of them tell you that it's like a dance, like you said. But it's almost every really good fight choreographer, they tell you that you have to treat it like a dance.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because that's the only way that you can get the moves synchronized so that on screen you're seeing phenomenal action, but really what you're doing is watching two people dance.
Hence,
Yes.
hence the title choreography.
Mhm.
So that's literally what it is. That's not how fights are in real life. It's
Yes.
but no, I love that you said that as well, because one of my recent favorite martial arts fighting troops is the guys behind the Raid Redemption.
Mm.
Have you
I've
ever
never
seen
seen
that?
No.
Well, first of all, it's probably one of the most savage. And again, they're stuntmen. It's a fighting troupe. They're not actors, but they can kind of act. And you'd recognize two of them in the third John Wick. When he was in the big glass area, and it's two guys
And fighting through the hallway there.
Yeah, and they were like, he's getting kind of old. Yeah, but it's still John Wick. Those two guys are, from this amazing fighting troupe, and you can, look them up on YouTube, and they're the real deal. I mean, they train by just getting kicked to the abdomen. It's just a ridiculous.
Look at Jackie Chan's stunt team, right?
Well, his and again, they're like, and I'm sorry, let me put it this way: these guys are because I think there is a slight difference between, or there's maybe all three. There's a stunt group that because jumping from one building to another is not martial arts, that's stunt work, and but also being an actual degree fighter, a ranked fighter is another thing, and then there's the cinematic choreography fighter. So, but I'm sure, but then you get the combination of all three, and that's when it's insane because they do their own stunts. They're they know the moves, but also they're doing it with intent. But
So, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say what we should do quick is just say what are our favorite. What's the one favorite martial arts?
I would say this. I would say, in your opinion, the best choreography and the worst. I can start off with it. I can just tell you right now. Of course, Ong Bak. Born Identity is more like the in between one where yes, there's technique and there's not much of there's technique and choreography, but because of technique, it looks realistic, but it's not as pretty to look at as like say an Ong Bak. But I would definitely say that the worst, Kylo Ren and Rey fight scene in the sword fight scene in the Force, not the Force Awakens. Sorry, what was the last movie?
Skywalker.
Yeah, that
on the
scene
ship
where
in the
they're fighting.
water?
Yeah, they're fighting on the water. On the fighting.
If you're gonna go for the worst fight in Star Wars, I'd have to say it's Episode 4. Alec Guinness and whoever was playing Darth Vader.
That was pretty.
That was literally just two old guys.
I can give you a better, worse one, and that's the fight between Count Dooku and Anakin in Attack of the Clones, because literally you don't see them. You don't see either one really like fighting. You just see a red light pass in front of like Count, Dooku's face, and the same thing. Like you don't really see them fighting.
Yeah. That's actually that's part of the reason why I think he what do you call this, Anakin cut some kind of a cable or something and the lights went out. So
it turned into a rave concert. That's
basically yes.
What I was going to say a minute ago is instead of best and worst, I was going to say what is the movie or show that got you into martial arts movies and shows? Because I like the best and worst choreography. Like I know that there are some, but that sits just so far in the back of my mind, like that I just let it go. But the things that stick to my mind are the things that got me into like martial art movies. So I'll say there was a show in the 80s when I was a kid that involves one of my favorite martial artists, I guess / stuntman, Ernie Reyes Jr. And it's called Sidekicks. And it was basically it was this little, 8-year-old kid who was like a black belt, and whatever. And he was like a sidekick to this like detective or a cop or something like that. And he would like go with this officer and fight bad guys as like this 8-year-old, martial art master. And that is what got me like into like martial arts in general and martial art shows and movies, because from that, let's see, after that I saw The Last Dragon, right?
Oh yeah,
Come on, Bruce Leroy and sure enough, come on.
Yes.
That is a fantastic movie. But then I actually started following like Ernie Reyes Jr. career. He actually he appeared as like a extra or something in The Last Dragon before he did his sidekick show. Then his next major thing was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where he was. If you remember, there was a pizza delivery guy.
Yeah, that was.
That ends up, they stuff him in the turtles stuff him into a dumpster because they didn't want him interfering, but he was actually a pretty decent fighter. And then he was in The Rundown with The Rock and Sean William Scott. He was one of the freedom fighters in the jungle. But yeah, like that was what got me into martial arts and things in general was Ernie Reyes Jr.
All right.
Until I discovered Tony Jaa.
So. Now, Logan, what was yours following Kenny's?
Either best and worst choreography or what got you into it.
So I think combination of best choreography and I guess what got me into it is probably going to be a little bit more street. Not to say that's going to be Rocky. It was boxing, which was still kind of, I guess, my first introduction to some extent to competitive fighting, if you will. Like I hadn't necessarily understood that concept. My cousin introduced it to me when I was probably way too young for it. He was, I think, 8 years. He's 8 years older, I think. So he showed that to me a lot sooner, and I know he was always a big fan of it. But especially, I think it wasn't Rocky 1. It must have been Rocky 2 at the time when I saw first, or that particular the second fight between Rocky and Apollo Creed. And then kind of watching how that progressed. Obviously, Rocky 4, and speaking of things to watch, Stallone's director's cut of Rocky 4 comes out in November, which I'm very, very excited to see how he recut. New scenes, new angles, whole new take on the movie, apparently, and I'm very, very excited for that. He did some exceptional things kind of behind the camera with when he was I think it was with Creed, as well as some of the choices that he made for Rocky 6 or Rocky Balboa. That one in particular, I think, still has some of the greatest fight scene ever. The most realistic fight scene maybe ever in a sports, action fighting movie, because, he literally took the people who would film an actual fight and had them film the movie. And those last 30 minutes when, it's the showdown there at the end of Rocky 6, it just looks like a pay-per-view fight. It's absolutely astonishing. But yeah, I'd say that was probably the one that got me into it the most, and probably that I still remember and like the best. Yeah. I'm having trouble kind of thinking of worst, to be honest.
Well, just to refresh, remember, you and I saw Creed together, right?
Creed 2.
Creed 2, yeah.
Yes.
Now, in Creed 2 I remember they shot one fight scene where in the first round and a half, it was a single take.
Cut, single take. It was
Single take.
gorgeous.
You talk about having
You got exhausted with him as it was
Yes.
going. It was amazing.
Exactly.
The Daredevil hallway scene from season 1. Like that was another one.
Which we all know is a ripoff of Old Boy.
Hey, it worked.
It did.
That was
worked.
a great scene.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good point with Creed 2.
My favorite fight scene in any movie. Are you ready?
Mhm.
Nope. Don't say Downton Abbey.
Kung Fu Panda
Yeah.
away from Poe. Because that would make me fight. If someone's trying to keep a dumpling away, that's what would make me fight.
that is fighting. That's them's fighting action. Jack Black. And
Look.
Jack Black was also in Mars Attacks.
Kung Fu Panda. I mean, that's martial arts right there.
Or a nice restaurant. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I think the only martial arts movie I've seen is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So if we go with that one, I mean, the fight scene where they're in the trees, that's pretty.
That's exceptional too.
That's
a great one.
What is it? Wushu? I forget the martial arts style, but it's
Wushu.
Thank you.
The Wushu.
Wushu, yeah.
Which is what Jet Li studied.
Yeah, well, yeah, and what's funny is up until that point, Chow Yun-fat had never done martial arts.
Hmm.
Could not throw a kick. He was, if you look at his earlier film, he's a gunman. He was like,
what was that? What was that movie again? Oh, dang, I forgot the movie. The monk.
Oh, Bulletproof Monk.
Bulletproof Monk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chow Yun-fat. He is. I'm looking right now at his videography, and he was in The Replacement Killers, Dragon Ball Evolution. Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Yes, again,
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. So, but what's funny is he was in all these films.
I think that's actually worse. She said, "Did you hear her?"
No,
she said, "Is that the Wild Wild West of martial arts movies?" And I'm like, I had to think for a second. And I'm like, no,
it's the Wild Wild West of live action anime movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Tell you what, I'm gonna stop mentioning Tony Todd if you stop mentioning Wild Wild West.
Is that a deal? I'm surprised you said that and not Downton Abbey.
Mm-hmm.
And
just Downton Abbey, I can mention that anytime.
To go off the rails for a second, when Logan was just talking about anime adaptations, I did see a new trailer that is out for Cowboy Bebop.
Yes.
Not a trailer, but it was like somebody did a live reenactment of the classic Cowboy Bebop intro. And has anybody else seen that?
I think I have.
Yeah. I mean, it's if anybody's familiar with the series, they have this really jazzy, intro with silhouette animation. They recut the whole thing with live action actors, and it looks pretty good. So
sorry about that.
Yeah.
Oh, no worries. You got here comes the mic. Oh.
Here's the best fight scene.
I think I broke my mic.
Oh. Stunt work is hard. It is hard. I'll give you my quick one. I'm sorry, Logan. So no. So I like those. Let me give you my quick two. The one of the first films that really just I saw the savagery and the mechanics of boxing, not so much technical, but just the visceral feeling, was Raging Bull. And because up until then you just hit somebody and they go down and maybe they have a little abrasion on there, but this was the first time I saw arterial spray hitting people in the front row. It was like a Gallagher show. It was awful. And again, Robert De Niro, what can he do? And the physical transformation. So it was that whole thing. And some of the worst fighting choreography, and I'm gonna pull something out of my pocket that I probably mentioned on one of our earlier shows. I saw we did at the Alamo, we did a watch party that was hosted by Patton Oswalt. It was a double feature. The first one was a blaxploitation film that came out in 1974 called The Mothers, with a U, Mothers. And it was god awful. And it was, shot total guerrilla style in the Philippines. They were basically pirates that were, these soul sisters, afros and tied up, midriff tied shirts and the worst dialogue you've ever heard. But they were kung fu masters in, I guess, Hollywood standards. And they were doing the fighting choreography where you're 3 feet away from somebody and you throw a kick and then they go flying. And they don't even do the camera angle right. So you see the distance between them. And it's air fighting. It's if you Google, but don't, because the language is a little rough. But the fighting scene was it was like watching toddlers fight. It was insane.
Like, hang on, was it like those? I don't want to call them Bollywood. Is it Bollywood like movies?
No. Bollywood at least has some good action scenes. Or effects. Again, this was done back in the like I said, the early 70s. So and there was no production. I mean, literally, you could go there with a Super 8 camera and just film. Tell people that are just hanging around, hey, we're going to shoot a fight scene. No choreography. Just, pretend you're fighting. And there's an outtake from, not even an outtake, but there's a scene in a Batman, The Dark Knight Rises, where they're fighting on the rooftop. And there's like a melee scene with Batman and Catwoman and just like these like a dozen goons. And they show, like, you can see there's one guy who literally just loses his place in the choreography and he's like doing this and he just falls down. Nobody even is near him and he just falls down. Yeah, that's the type of choreography I'm talking about. It's literally just it's like a Civil War reenactment. People are just dropping.
Well, yeah, that's always one of my issues with big fight scenes in general. Is anytime you have like a whole gang of people and then you have one person and they're all circled around this one person and you literally see them like fighting one or two at a time and the others are just standing back there like, all right.
You got to go in order. You can't all go once.
And as much like I love Jet Li, and I like a lot of the movies he's in, but I can't remember. There's a movie with him and DMX and Tom Arnold.
Oh yeah. It was the one where basically they had like the black diamonds that
Cradle to the Grave. And there's a scene where they just end up in this like underground MMA club, and Jet Li gets like thrown into the ring, and he ends up having to fight all these MMA fighters, and literally like you're like, these guys should be like brutal and they're like standing back waiting for him to kick the other guy's butt, and it's like, no. And I was going to add the kind of fight scenes I do like are what Ramon brought up earlier with like the Bourne movies. So the way that they designed a lot of the fight scenes were purposefully not to be pretty. It was meant to highlight the kind of rawness of what fighting feels like in real life. And when you're in those situations, like in like Bourne Identity, when I think it's Bourne Identity, there's a scene where he's fighting in a house and he literally rolls up a newspaper or a magazine or something and is using that to fight with. And that is something you would do. Like if you had nothing else and you needed a weapon, like you're going to grab whatever you can, but it's also that the action it's very close. they're very close together.
They're fighting in a bathroom at one point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a frenetic pace.
But the fighting style that they based all the movements in for like the Bourne movies was Cali.
Yeah, my martial arts.
Yep.
Or Filipino martial arts.
Filipino martial art. Yep. And it fits very well, and I tend to like those kinds of fight scenes that they're not completely based in reality, but they're close enough.
Yeah.
That
Grounded.
that as long as it feels good and raw and realistic, that's what I enjoy.
Yeah. Basically, you have the technique, but you also have the messy stuff. I mean, yeah, it's not completely neat and completely neat and clean as a lot of the other fight scenes you see.
But I'll also say, at the same time, I really like the Jackie Chan cheesiness into like fight scenes, like what's
Rush Hour.
Rumble in the
like
Bronx.
Rush Hour. But there's actually a really funny one.
Rumble in the Bronx.
Is it Rumble in the Bronx where they're kicking? No, they're on there's this one where they're on a rooftop and he's fighting these two guys and they're literally like they're kicking their shins together for
Super Cop. Super Cop.
Is it Super Cop?
Well,
Hmm.
I mean,
And then he starts.
They end up like kind of like swinging past each other, and then they're like rubbing their shins, and that's like the other end of my spectrum. Like I will always watch those kinds of movies.
Yeah, Jackie Chan definitely credited Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin for a lot of his choreography. He said, when he tried to make an angry face and look like a leading man tough guy, it didn't work.
Yep.
So he went with the more comedic role of fighting with a little bit of shtick, sprinkled in there. No, good.
Yeah.
Good.
And
Stuff.
my favorite Jackie Chan movie, you actually can't find anywhere. Like I can't find it digitally. It's called Who Am I?
I remember that. Yeah.
So it's where he loses his memory. He ends up like falling from like a parachute or something and loses memory. Forgets that he's like a special forces soldier. But I can't find it like streaming or I guess I might be able to find it on DVD. I guess
YouTube.
Pirate Bay.
Yeah.
Well, Hollywood fight scenes. You gotta love them.
Yes.
And again, like I said, go check out The Raid Redemption. That has some of the whole fighting troop, and that fighting troop was also in the Force Awakens. They played the guys that were boarding Han Solo when he was on the freighter.
Oh, that's right.
And he's like, you can't trust those little guys. And they had no martial arts in this whatsoever because they were eaten by whatever that
monster tentacle thingy.
Yeah, but yeah, two of the guys were in it, and again, so anyway, excellent stuff. Thank you, Ramon. Guys, we've gone on for 2.5 hours. This is an hour show, but we've done it for 2.5 hours.
That's
because,
what we always say.
Yeah, we should just say we're going to do a 3-hour show, and then we'll be finishing early. So.
Or we'll go for 6.5 hours.
Exactly. We'll just have a marathon thing. And
it's a good we're wrapping up because I need to plug my computer.
Oh, yeah.
You ran all the juice out of that outlet, huh?
Yeah.
This is going to become a running gag.
Absolutely. My computer's going dead. I got to plug it in. Yeah. I like how your plugging in takes 3 minutes to plug it in.
Well, yeah. 2 minutes.
You know what? We all got to plug in our computer, and the older our computer gets, sometimes you got to plug it in more.
That's right.
It's just that's the way it is.
That's just the way it is.
But everybody, awesome show. So many topics, so many good things. We got Babylon 5. We're going to start doing watch parties on. Hopefully, we're dusting off the Downton Abbey and get some of our sophistication and tea on, because we were also talking about doing some tea watch along parties with, Logan
Mhm.
said he had a special kind of tea.
I do.
I think it's legal and we can
It
enjoy
is.
that. and maybe we can start because and Ramon, you weren't here when we did when we did old school Japanese watch party with Eric, one of our earlier members, and he will be coming back. What was it? Jimbo?
Yojimbo.
Yojimbo.
Yo, Jimbo.
Excellent. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I definitely want to get
Talking
some of
about
that.
samurai westerns.
Absolutely. And we got to do the watch party for the Nicolas Cage. Yes. So many things coming out. And as you probably noticed out there, we take these big shows and then we also have little highlights. So, feel free to check our highlights on all our channels. Don't forget, we are on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and we are on TikTok. You cannot avoid us. So, be a good supporter. Leave a comment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Anyway,
Find us, we'll find you.
What was that? Sorry.
Find us, or we'll find you.
Exactly. I'm going to tell a story on another day about how I've been getting, these wonderful calls from different countries, and I don't answer, but I might start answering them and just recording how I mess with these scammers, because that's something on the internet, I guess. But anyway, guys, fantastic show. Thank you so much for contributing today, and everybody out there, thank you so much for watching. We love doing this, and your patronage is what makes this whole thing possible. We will also be very soon launching our Binge Theory store. That means you can get lovely apparels and mugs and all sorts of lovely accoutrements with the Binge Theory brand. So definitely, yes, we will be getting blankets. We have blankets now. We will be getting blankets. I found those. Yes, exactly like that, but better because it'll have our name on it. Anyway.
Computer plugs.
What?
Computer plugs.
Computer plugs? No.
That's going to be the next one we're going to need.
Exactly.
Theory After Dark store.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
But anyway, out there, thanks so much for joining us again. Be sure to take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and as always, if it's worthwhile, it's worth binging.